there. This is Welsh ASMR 82. Hey, how you doing? I did a poll on the community tab recently and asked you which tour guide you wanted next after the tour guide of Germany that we did. We've done the UK previously and France, and I asked whether you wanted Scandinavia next, or I think off the top of my head the Netherlands, Italy or Poland. And Scandinavia won by a country mile. I will do the others at some point, but this one is going to be first. This is now. Look at that beautiful front cover. And correctly, some of you were paying attention, I said Scandinavia and I listed all these countries, and you rightly pointed out that some of them aren't in Scandinavia. So I'm sure people from these countries, Denmark, Faroe Islands, Finland, Iceland, Norway and Sweden, can put it to bed in the comment section. From what I understand, Scandinavia primarily is Norway, Denmark and Sweden, with some extension due to cultural and historical reasons to the Faroe Islands, which are a part of Denmark, and Iceland, which isn't a part of Denmark. Some people think that it still is. I don't think it ever was. And I think it might have been part of, like, I'm not sure actually. I don't know my history of Iceland. Maybe Norway. No, maybe not. Anyway, and Finland is actually nothing to do with Scandinavia at all. It is a Nordics country though, so basically in the north of Europe, and so it shares some cultural aspects with these countries, but historically and linguistically Finland is very different. So those are the countries we'll be checking out today. As I said, Iceland, Faroe Islands, which is part of the Kingdom of Denmark, as is Greenland, but Greenland isn't included in this book. We have Svalbard here, which is part of Norway, Norway itself, Sweden and Finland as well. I'll be reading sections from this book, but I think the pictures are some of the most important parts of this experience. If you're just listening, then fair enough. Maybe you've got your eyes closed, you're laying down to go to sleep. But what I would say is some of the pictures are incredible. Such a beautiful area of the world. Let's look at this then. So it says Iceland, capital of Reykjavik. Then we've got the Faroe Islands, and the capital is Tórshavn. We have Svalbard. My friend's recently been to Svalbard. It's fascinating. Then we have Norway here, Sweden, Finland, and not forgetting the southernmost, which is Denmark here. Copenhagen on the island, or one of the islands, is the capital. The capital of Sweden is of course Stockholm. Capital of Finland is Helsinki, and the capital of Norway is Oslo. Yeah, this is absolutely stunning, isn't it? Very beautiful cities and places to visit. Some things that we associate with Scandinavia, apart from colourful houses and beautiful fjords, would be IKEA, as it's pronounced in Swedish, from Sweden. Lego, which is a Danish toy. Volvo, which is Sweden. Arctic Adventures, look at those lovely dogs. And a big honourable mention to the Sami. The Sami spread across 4 nations in total. So the Sami people have been living in Scandinavia for thousands of years, and you'll feel their presence across the region's Arctic north. It says, whether you're visiting one of their cultural buildings or museums in northern Finland, Norway, Sweden, and also they go into Russia, which is here as well, or enjoying a festival or event such as reindeer dancing, you'll love the time you spend among them. The Sami refer to their traditional lands as Sapmi or Samiland. Of the 70,000 Sami, over half reside in Norway, followed by Finland and Sweden. Samiland or Lapland. The Sami and their lands were formerly known as Laps and Lapland. The latter is still used in Sweden. Both terms are now considered insulting by many Sami. The Sami languages at the bottom here. There are 10 distinct Sami languages spoken across the Sapmi, the Sami ancestral land spanning northern Sweden, Norway, Finland and Russia's Kola Peninsula, which belong to the Finno-Ugrian language group. So Jokkmokk is Sweden's Sami capital and has an amazing winter festival, handicraft shops, a fine museum and an unmistakably Sami character. When I was in Stockholm, I went to the Sami museum there. It's very interesting. Everything was trilingual English, Swedish and Sami. Okay, so I'm just going to flick through. Let's look at Denmark. The Little Mermaid. So I've been to Copenhagen. I saw the Little Mermaid. It's just in the middle of nowhere by this dock, and there's a sort of running joke that people quite regularly chop her head off or graffiti her, and then they put it back together, and I think it says a lot about the Danish sense of humour, which I really like, that they don't get offended by that. There's some like a joke played on it, and they're like, oh yes, someone's chopped off her head again, and then they replace it and clean it up, and yeah, it's quite funny. The Little Mermaid sits on her rock just outside the bastions of the Kastellet, the huge pentagonal bastion, and most built to protect the entrance to Copenhagen's inner harbour. Like it or not, the Little Mermaid, like it or not, and Copenhageners certainly do not, the Little Mermaid, Den Lille Havfrue, has become synonymous with Copenhagen, like New York's Statue of Liberty or Rio's Cristo Rentador, even though she's barely 1.25 meters tall. Sculptor Edvard Eriksson modelled the body on his wife, Elina, and the face on ballerina Ellen Price. Unveiled in 1913, she has presumably been prompting shrugs and or selfies from tourists ever since. She's also been the target of dozens of attacks and indignities, including beheadings, amputations and various paint dumpings for political points or seemingly no point at all. So beyond Copenhagen, so this is one of the islands where Copenhagen can be found. Sweden is like literally here, it's so close. And in fact, this part of Sweden used to be part of the Kingdom of Denmark at one point. Skåne. So Copenhagen suburbs are anything but dull. Look at this picture, wow. This is Frederiksborg Slot in Hillerød. So Copenhagen suburbs spill up and down the coast from the city, north towards Helsingør and the Danish Riviera, south into the island of Amager and towards Køge. The coast north of the city is particularly scenic and swanky, part of the country known for its modernist villas and historic homes along the seashore. But no matter which direction you go, there's plenty to see and do, from modern art to marine biology and Michelin-starred country inns. A few of the highlights here are considered Copenhagen must-sees, like the Louisiana Museum and Palatial Frederiksborg Slot. But wherever you end up, nothing listed in this section is more than an hour from central Copenhagen. So Helsingør is this place just here. You can get a boat a couple of times a day to Helsingborg on the opposite side in Sweden. If you're not basing yourself in Helsingør, the city can easily be visited as a day trip from Copenhagen. One of the most important maritime cities in Europe, Helsingør may no longer command the sea, but it still wears its nautical history on its sailor tattooed sleeve. Guarding the passage between the North and Baltic seas, Helsingør is the passage, or is strategically set at the Øresund Strait's narrowest point. It's only 4 kilometers across to Helsingborg in Sweden, and its location has defined the city since its formal inception in the early 1400s. Indeed, until 1658, when Denmark lost one of its many wars with Sweden, both sides of the water were Danish territory, marking the kingdom fabulously wealthy, or making the kingdom fabulously wealthy thanks to the sound dues, taxes levied on ships passing through the strait. The city took shape over this period, and Helsingør's medieval old centre, filled with narrow cobbled lanes and crooked half-timbered houses, is one of the city's main draws, alongside the spectacular Kronborg Castle, Shakespeare's Elsinore, that still keeps watch over the water. Here is that castle itself. Let's look at somewhere we're not on that island. Aarhus. Now, Aarhus is on the mainland. So this is the peninsula that comes up from the top of Germany, and then all these are islands of Denmark. There's a further one, you can just see it, look. There's one far over, so this is Sweden, and this is still Denmark. And if you're not familiar with this area of Denmark, it is extremely flat. Very little, so much as a hill on this particular area, which is, I think, called Jutland. Sometimes mispronounced in English as Jutland. Jutland. Denmark's second city has got it all. Fabulous food and shopping, a packed arts and festivals calendar, and some top draw attractions, all wrapped up in a compact, walkable package. Aarhus goes by the nickname Smiles by, City of Smiles, a slogan adopted in the 1930s that stuck around. Nothing to do with those happiness indexes, even if Aarhus does tend to come out on top, but hang around the city for a while and you'll also find edgy creativity and alternative vibes. Courtesy of its young population, around 1 in 5 inhabitants are students. The city's earliest origins are in the Viking settlement of Aarhus, a place at the river mouth, or Aarhus, roughly where the cathedral is today. Medieval Aarhus is more a city of frowns, wedged between feuding states and trading tribes, but stability ensued from the 1500s, and Aarhus flourished as a centre of trade, art and religion. Be the rainbow over Aarhus. Aarhus Kunstmuseum is both the city's top attraction and its most eye-catching landmark, thanks to the magic of Danish-Icelandic artist Ólafur Eliasson, crowning the top of the red bricked gallery. Eliasson's Your Rainbow Panorama is a 150-metre long, looping skywalk of multicoloured glass from which you can soak up dreamy Kodak-filtered panoramas of the city. Inside sit 9 floors of art, from Golden Age works through Danish modernism to bold contemporary art. At the time of research, a vast subterranean expansion entitled The Next Level was being built, to be furnished with epic-scale installations by American artist James Turrell. Budget for at least half a day here, or make an evening of it. Aarhus opens until 9 PM on weekdays, but is closed on Mondays. Okay, let's switch country then. Let's go to, well, not quite country, yes it is country, I suppose. Let's go to the Faroe Islands. So I said the capital was a place called, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it properly, but in Danish the A-V-N is an own sound, so I'll do it like that, even though it has its own language of Faroese. Tórshavn. Maybe it tells us somewhere. No, it doesn't. In a land of wild mountains and scattered villages, Tórshavn offers something completely different. More than 20,000 people live in the Faroe Islands capital, making it a relative metropolis. Delve into Faroese culture with an enlightening museum visit and taste local cuisine at a first-rate restaurant. But there's a lot of fish and seafood. Throw in some shopping and an evening exploring the lively bar scene, and this diminutive but thriving harbour town has plenty to entertain for a couple of days. Many of the sites are close to Tórshavn's colourful waterfront, which brims with yachts and fishing boats. At the southern tip of Streymoy, the harbour is divided in two by the Tinganes Peninsula, home to a village-like cluster of charming cottages, tangled passageways, and the Prime Minister's office. More than a millennia ago, Viking settlers founded one of the world's earliest parliaments in this very place, and Tórshavn means Thor's harbour, after the Norse god of war. There's a picture here of some smoked salmon from the Barbara Fish House. I love smoked salmon. Here are all those colourful buildings, look. There are some jaw-dropping scenes in this beautiful set of islands. I also really like how they've got like underground tunnels rather than bridges to get from one island to the other. The weather there can be quite windy and wet. Think sort of Nova Scotia type weather. Many of the Faroe Islands' top attractions lie within striking distance of Tórshavn, one of the largest and most central island, or on the largest and most central island, Streymoy. Ponder the ruins at Kirk Jubujor and head to its northern reaches for a boat ride to West Manna's soaring bird cliffs. Surf cold waves in sublime Djørnvik and soak in the spectacular secluded setting of Saxon, while Nólsoy offers a taste of traditional life just a stone's throw from the capital. A major tunnel opened in 2020, making Eysturoy's rugged mountains even more accessible, as well as the Faroes' second town, Klaksvík, a jumping-off point for the scenic remote Northern Isles, and a popular day trip to Kalsoy and its magnificent lighthouse. This is in Trölandet. The tale of Rising and Kellingin. Both Tjörnevik and the Funningur road offer superb views of a pair of striking sea stacks at the foot of Eysturoy's northern tip. According to local legend, the two rocks are a giant and a witch who attempted to tow the Faroe Islands to Iceland. Kellingin, the witch, with two legs and a pointy hat, cast a rope around the nearby mountain of Heiðkollur, and then the stocky giant Risin pulled. They struggled through the night, but the mountain would not budge. When dawn broke, the sunlight turned them to stone. Just a quick view of Vagar. These are the Dranganir sea stacks. Just absolutely incredible views here. Okay, let's continue. So Finland is next. Oh, I love the Moomins. Meet the Moomins. Beloved throughout Finland and beyond. The Moomins are a famous eccentric family of nature-loving, white-snouted, hippo-like trolls. Grab squishy hugs from them at Muumimalima, Moomin World, the No Rides amusement park, a 15-kilometer drive from Turku, delights kids with hands-on activities across interactive playrooms. I'll be going there if I get a chance. Bump into costumed characters rambling through the Moomin house and Grok's cave and stir up an invention in Snork's workshop. The 2-day ticket is also good for Veski Adventure Island, where old adventure seekers can tackle rock climbing, gold panning, zip lining and rope obstacle courses. I'd actually quite like that as well. Free shuttle boats depart every 30 minutes from the Nantali near the bridge to Muuminimailima. I changed on a flight to Korea once, and on a flight to China as well, because I was flying through Helsinki with Finnish Air, or Finnair, and flying from like London, changing plane there, and then going on to Asia, and they've got a Moomin shop in the airport, and I was like, how much can I get into my hand luggage? I just ended up buying a couple of fridge magnets, but I've still got them downstairs, and I've subsequently bought Moomin Troll. Where is he living now? I think he's in a cupboard somewhere, after I moved house. What should we look at? Rovaniemi. Capital of Finnish Lapland, Rovaniemi, population of 55,000, styles itself as the official hometown of Santa Claus. The genial red-cloaked gentleman resides year-round on the Arctic Circle, 8 kilometers northeast of town, and has contributed mightily to Rovaniemi's booming tourism sector. I know my nephew went there with his mum, my sister-in-law, when he was a kid. From here you can easily visit Santa Claus's village and not just take reindeer, husky, snowmobile, aurora borealis safaris, the four most popular activities, but also go berry foraging, elk, moose spotting, or fat biking under the midnight sun. Old Rovaniemi was almost razed by fire in the 1944 Wehrmacht retreat. It was rebuilt to a clan by Alvar Aalto, with its main streets in the form of a reindeer head. The stadium near the bus station is the Eye. The antlers spread west from Lapinkaviantie. Modern Rovaniemi lacks anything resembling old world charm, but it has a great setting at the confluence of the Kemijoki and the Ounasjoki, and its Artikum Museum is one of Finland's best. So cool, they designed it in the shape of a reindeer. Santa's village. Santa Claus himself welcomes visitors of all ages year-round, free of charge, at his office in Santa Claus Village, a 20-minute bus ride northeast of Rovaniemi. The village, spread over a forest fringe site scattered with Santa-related attractions, has several restaurants and shops. Santa's office is inside a curious, pointy, towered, wood and stone building. I believe this is it here. You may or may not have to queue to see him depending on the day. He's a friendly fellow and quite a linguist. Photos inside aren't permitted, but your 3-minute chat will be photographed by elves with downloadable results for €45. Any mail you send from the Santa Claus main post office will be stamped with a special Arctic Circle Santa reindeer postmark, posted in special boxes for it to arrive just before Christmas. Elsewhere in the village, try a sleigh ride or summer walk with Santa's reindeer, or pet huskies at the Husky Park. In winter, there's children's snowmobiling at the Arctic Circle Snowmobile Park, and Snowman World with ice skating, ice and snow slides, and an ice restaurant. Tampere is just to the northeast of Helsinki. If the world's only Moomin museum isn't reason enough to visit Tampere, there's plenty more to explore, from the red brick city centre Finlayson Museum and restaurant hub lining the powerful rapids of the Tamerkoski, to the pretty wooden house neighbourhood with a historic public sauna. It's the perfect warm welcome to the city. Tampere's wooden houses and red brick buildings hide an industrial past, set in motion in 1820 when the Scot James Finlayson set up a linen factory here. By the beginning of the 20th century, 1/3 of Tampere's inhabitants were factory workers. This set the tone for the working class city's later development as a central stage in Finland's civil war, when the bourgeois whites fought against the working class reds. Today, Tampere is the self-proclaimed sauna capital of the world, and the city's industrial heritage, mixed with its creative energy, provides many layers to explore. The rapids of the Tamerkoski Channel create a powerful backdrop to the city's main shopping street, Hämeenkatu. Visit the industrial red brick buildings lining the rapids and quickly get the powerful gist of Tampere's past and present. Look at some of these pictures, they're absolutely out of this world. This is Sankta Anna Gurka, St. Anne's Church. This is Kumlinge. So this is Åland, which is a group of islands off the west coast of Finland, and just not too far from the east coast of Sweden, where it is Finland, but all of the inhabitants speak Swedish as their first language. The 6 municipalities beyond Fasta encompass the remote, harder-to-reach areas of the archipelago. The tiny islands even outnumber inhabitants. Åland's unique history. Åland is an autonomous state with its own parliament, flag, stamps and web suffix .ax. Locals speak Swedish, and the island's special relationship with the EU means it is demilitarized, can sell duty-free and make its own gambling laws. Sweden ceded the island to Russia in 1809, and Åland became Russia's westernmost outpost until the empire's defeat in 1856. Residents then called for secession from Finland and returned to Sweden. In 1921, a League of Nations convention crafted unique cultural and linguistic rights and neutral political status for Åland. Locals may tell you they feel neither Swedish nor Finnish. Despite this, the islands are a popular holiday destination for Swedes and Finns alike. I read somewhere once that the agreement, the accord with the United Nations, is that if for any reason the inhabitants are prohibited from using Swedish every day, then they can call a referendum and leave and return to Sweden. So wherever you go, basically the Finns have a lot of Swedish speakers along the coast for historical reasons, and that means that, particularly when I was on a plane, everything is in Finnish, then Swedish, then English, then the language of where you're going, Chinese, Korean, etc. And lots of Finnish people speak really good Finnish. Okay, Iceland then. So we've got Reykjavik, the capital here. This is beautiful island. The capital is actually over here on the west coast. I was thinking once that if they were coming this direction, the Norse people, then there should be the capital over this side, but I think it's because it's a sort of safer port area or something. Very expensive to visit as a tourist because it's sort of, you can't do anything but to pay the prices really if you're there, and everything has to be imported obviously, apart from fish. Reykjavik is Iceland's human heart and home to nearly 2/3 of all Icelanders, with 240,000 inhabitants in the region. That's right, there's only about 300,000 something people on the entire island. Construction projects are everywhere, transforming the world's most northerly capital from an oversized fishing village to an international city with all its complications. To first-time visitors, the capital tends to be warmer than expected and spread over a wide area. The city centre, from Old Harbour to the Hlemmur bus terminal, is less than 3 kilometres in length, making it easy to explore by walking. When you slip behind the shiny tourist-centric veneer, you'll find a place and a populace that mixes aesthetically minded ingenuity with an almost quaint know-your-neighbour sense of community. Add a backdrop of snow-topped mountains, churning seas and crystal-clear air, and the chances are you'll fall helplessly in love, heading home already saving to return. And save you must, because I fear it is very expensive. A friend of mine, her parents flew to Iceland, rented a car, drove around as much of the island as they could, and then flew back the next day. I think I'd probably like to stay longer. But it's obviously got lots of volcanoes and fjords and all sorts. And the Aurora Borealis. DIY Aurora Borealis hunting. The northern lights are visible in the months of darkness between September and April, but within Reykjavik they're rarely strong enough to outshine the city lights. To vastly increase your chances of spotting this Arctic phenomena caused by solar winds slamming into the Earth's magnetic fields, take the dark exit. Sounds foreboding. Searching for the auroras is a waiting game, and success can come down to wearing that extra layer you thought was unnecessary. But before getting dressed, check the Northern Lights forecast. The Icelandic Met Office operates a daily forecast based on solar winds over the last 3 days with a 9-scale activity range. That's a very cool place. This is the Valdís outlet on Frakkastigur. The Reykjavik food scene. When Only Planet first covered Reykjavik back in the early 90s, its sorry scene of restaurants was certainly unrecognisable from today's, but Þrír Frakkar is still here, serving traditional Icelandic food in a fine dining venue. For a more casual lunch version of plocksfiskur, fish stew, and kjötsúpa, lamb soup, try Café Loki, but don't expect to find Icelandic crowd anymore. Nordic fusion fare commands respect. Bear in mind that the price difference between an exceptional restaurant and an average one is often small, so it can be well worth going up market. In the higher echelons are dill and ox. The Michelin-starred restaurants of Reykjavik, those two, dill and ox, also intimate and innovative, are Matbar, Rock and Brut. Groups will have more luck getting a table at Geiri Smart, Public House and Monkeys. For seafood, Seigriffin, the Sea Baron, lives up to its name as an old harbour establishment, located inside a tiny shack with unfussy, down-to-earth charm. Here we have the Laugardalslaug. For actual swimming, Laugardalslaug has an Olympic-sized pool with 8 lanes and traffic rules. Indoor is another 50-metre pool reserved for training and competitions. Families favour this massive Sundlaug for the 8-metre water slide and leisure pools for little humans. Oh, that's stunning, isn't it? That's the Blue Lagoon. When you think of Iceland, no doubt, one of the first things that comes to mind is the Blue Lagoon. Walking out in the fluffy white bathrobe to the milky blue water, surrounded by lava, is the epitome of relaxation and luxury. Oh gosh, look at that. That is the Vatnajökull National Park South. Could spend the entire video looking at it, but we need to move on because we have Norway and Sweden yet to cover. Okay, so this is Lillehammer, which is the first one we're going to look at in Norway by the looks of it. So Lillehammer, which is just to the north of Oslo inland. Long a popular Norwegian ski resort, Lillehammer was elevated to the world stage when it hosted the Winter Olympics in 1994. Its sporting legacy continues to inspire both athletes and visitors with a slew of world-class winter sports facilities and Olympic-inspired attractions in and around town. So you have the Norges Olympiska Museum. Lillehammer is rightly proud of its place in sporting history, and its Olympic attractions aren't just for ardent sports fans, they incorporate history, architecture and stellar views too. In the same complex as Haugen, the Norges Olympiska Museum is an exhilarating introduction to the origins of the Games and Norway's role as the host of 2 Winter Olympics, Oslo in 1952 and Lillehammer in 1994. exhibits, many celebrating the achievements of Norwegian athletes, surround a Northern Lights themed replica ski jump. Oh yes, that's very cool. There is stirring Olympic footage aplenty, and the biathlon simulator too, harder than it looks. Trondheim, which is further up the coast from Oslo. Trondheim is without a doubt one of Norway's most photogenic cities. Let's take a look at it. Wow, that is absolutely stunning. Colourfully painted wooden walls line the Nidelva River as it meanders out to the Trondheimsfjord, and the spire of its Gothic cathedral still stands in contrast to the city's blazingly low profile. No skyscrapers here. Trondheim is now the country's third largest city, but the grandeur of some of its buildings hints at its affluent past, a story told across its museums and galleries. Above all, Trondheim is simply a pleasure to wander or cycle around, whether through cobblestone streets or alongside the river on a sunny summer's day. A picture here of this beautiful bridge, the Gamle Bybro. And then further north again is Tromsø. Self-styled as the gateway to the Arctic, Tromsø is a small city with a big personality. Unashamedly fun and alive with possibilities for Arctic-themed enjoyment. It's located 400 kilometers north of the Arctic Circle and lies on the east of Tromsøya, which is linked to Tromsdalen on the mainland by an arched bridge, Tromsøbrua. Looks like that's Tromsøbrua. And then you got the harbour of Tromsø. And there's Tromsdalen. Inky fjords and mountains topped with year-round snow set the stage for outdoor activities, and you can do them all here. Long summer days promise long summer hikes, while winter tempts with chances to glimpse the aurora. Look at that, there's Tromsdalen's heavenly heights. Ishavskatedralen. Oh, Ishavskatedralen. The ice ports cathedral. The Arctic Cathedral, symbol of the city since it was constructed or consecrated in 1965. The 35-meter high triangular face of Tromsdalen Church, as it's officially known, reaches skywards, while the 11 ice-white aluminium-coated concrete segments suggest glacial crevices. In contrast to Tromsdalen's mountainous backdrop, the tranquil interior is perfect for a quiet moment of reflection or simply to admire the minimalist architecture. So we've looked at Åland and we've looked at the Faroe Islands. So here is the large island to the north, up very close to the Arctic Circle. It's Svalbard. Svalbard's raw, bleak beauty entices travellers seeking a taste of polar endeavour to walk where pioneering explorers, resilient miners and polar bears have laid footprints before them. So there's a thing that basically if you go out for a walk with your dog, you have to take a gun because you might be attacked by a polar bear, although they rarely come into the city, I've heard. But obviously as the ice starts to melt, they have to come closer and closer to people to get food. So yeah, just walking your dog means you've got to take a rifle with you. Although my friend told me, the one that visited there, she asked people about it, and basically if you do shoot and kill a polar bear, they're so protected that like there's this massive sort of court case about it afterwards, and you have to like explain what exactly happened and what your motivations were and why you didn't just try and fire in the air and scare it off, and etc. etc. Because really you absolutely should not touch them. The island's biggest settlement, Longyearbyen, overlooks Isfjorden and rests haphazardly near the glacial tongues of Longyearbyen and Larsbreen. It's closer to the North Pole than to Oslo, yet the town's international population lends it the feel of any European ski resort. The industrial waterfront and Arctic-hardy architecture are not attractive, but a decent selection of restaurants and bars plus a few museums make it an excellent base for activities in the surrounding mountains and valleys. Though cruise ships and budget airlinks mean Svalbard is no longer the tantalizingly remote destination it once was, its spirit remains a majestically desolate place that calls the intrepid to venture further than they've been before. The other thing is that a section of it is owned by Russia because of some old-standing rule that they were allowed to mine there, although it's abandoned nowadays. And the other thing is because it's so northerly, the ground is basically permanently in permafrost. So you can't, if anyone were to be buried there, which is unlikely because everyone working there is a sort of young people basically everywhere. They're working there for like research purposes. I think there might even be a museum there with all the seeds of every plant on the planet to keep it cold. And basically the ground is permanently frozen, so you can't be buried there. If you were to die, you'd have to be flown back to Norway. And there's something I read somewhere that said there are people who were buried there. If they were buried with a disease such as smallpox, for example, then that disease will not have died, and so you could contract the disease from their bodies. I said this incorrectly when I originally did this video on my old channel that I haven't posted on for a while, the Nordics channel, and I didn't say smallpox, I think I said bubonic plague, and someone corrected me in the comments and said, no, actually I think you're thinking of smallpox. So yeah, apparently people died of it, were buried, but their bodies are preserved, and therefore if they were to be dug up, you could catch smallpox from them. That's the Soviet era, Barentsburg and Pyramiden. The Pyramiden is though officially a Norwegian territory in 1920, Spitsbergen Treaty means that all signatories have a right to Svalbard's natural resources. Russian mining settlements emerged from this privilege, and visiting them is a real highlight. Like stumbling upon a forgotten outpost of the Soviet Union somewhere close to the ends of the earth, Barentsburg still supports an active coal mine with reserves from its ever-dwindling seam, Cyrillic signage, murals of workers in heroic pose, and a wonderfully retro Barentsburg hotel make for a mind-bending time warp. The mine at Pyramiden, named for the pyramid-shaped mountain nearby, was closed in 1998 when it ceased turning a profit. Save for a few hardy souls maintaining amenities for tourists, it's now effectively a ghost town, abandoned Soviet-era buildings, and a monument to Lenin are a jarring juxtaposition of the pristine and the post-apocalyptic. At the time of research, no tours were running to these settlements, and excursions run by Russian-owned tour companies are not being promoted by Visit Svalbard due to the ongoing war in Ukraine. Then we have Ålesund, quite far from Oslo, northwest. Bathed in the ethereal subarctic lights of Norway's mid-north and arrayed across a series of peninsulas and islands that reach out into the Atlantic, Ålesund is a beautifully small city that exudes a beguiling end-of-the-road feel. As the home base for Norway's largest cod fishing fleet, it's also a fine place to sample the freshest local seafood. I do love my seafood. Oh my god, look at this. That is beautiful. That's the Geiranger Skywalk. Yeah, you wouldn't be catching me to it though, I'm scared of heights. Okay, let's go to Sweden then before we finish. Sweden is the most populated of the countries in this list. By almost double, I think. I think Denmark and Norway are about 5 million-ish, and Sweden's about 10 million. Can't remember Finland. I think Finland's around the sort of 5-6 mark. Okay, this beautiful view of Stockholm is quite famous. So Stockholm is rich in style and cultural assets, beguiling Gamla stan, the city's oldest district, has a royal palace, gabled buildings and razor-thin cobblestone streets. South of Gamla stan, formerly working-class Södermalm is now home to some of the city's coolest neighbourhoods. West, the islands of Djurgården and Skeppsholmen harbour everything from Viking treasures and an ill-fated warship to ABBA memorabilia and contemporary art. Norrmalm is the city's modern commercial centre. East of Norrmalm, glitzy Östermalm is home to celebrity hangouts and luxe boutiques. Further east still are parklands of Ladugårdsgärdet, where you'll find more great museums and a superb sculpture garden. Given the bounty drawn from Stockholm's surrounding waters, fields and forests, it's not surprising that food is a serious passion here. Whatever the global culinary trend, Stockholm is on it. Swedish classics are equally revered, and traditions are both faithfully adhered to and cleverly tweaked by Stockholm's region of forward-thinking chefs. The changing of the guard in the Kungliga slottet, the royal palace. So we have Gamla stan, the old town, here in the middle, and then Djurgården, where the king and queen used to do their, or the king at least, used to do his hunting. There. Södermalm is down here, and then Norrmalm, Kungsholmen, and Långholmen. Skeppsholmen is there. This is the Konserthuset, concert house. And then one of the largest cities in the country is actually just a bit to the north of Stockholm, Uppsala. Home to Scandinavia's oldest university, founded in 1471, Uppsala is no stranger to the buzz emitted when students crowd the room. In fact, budding scholars account for 50,000 of Uppsala's total population of 230,000, earning it the nickname of the City of Eternal Youth. The city's consistent revolving door of students solidifies Uppsala's reputation as a cradle of culture and nightlife, which manifests most strikingly in the sheer number of laid-back, boho-spirited cafes and bars. But Uppsala has been at it since the 3rd century. The fascinating remnants of the past are on full display at Gamla Uppsala, Old Uppsala, a few kilometres north of the city. This fascinating archaeological site was once a flourishing 6th century religious centre where human sacrifices were made. In addition to serving as an ancient burial ground, its sheer scale reveals the magnitude of the religious, economic and political power that was once centred on one of Sweden's oldest cities. Bicycles rule in Uppsala. You can pick up wheels at the ski total cycle, but the historic quarter is best explored on foot. This is the Domkyrka, the cathedral. Some 300 burial mounds dating from the 6th to 12th centuries dot the landscape at the fascinating Gamla Uppsala, looking like giant ski moguls for mythical ogres. The ancient grey field, 4 kilometres north of Uppsala, features Sweden's second largest barrows. Only Annunshög in Västerås is bigger, and is one of the country's most important burial sites. Set aside 2 hours to fully explore the grey field and accompanying sites. The second city, Gothenburg, Gothenburg, is an important site, and it's on the opposite side of the country here, closer to Norway and Denmark than actually Stockholm. With almost 600,000 inhabitants, Sweden's second city is arguably its most engaging. A heady mix of stimulating museums, quirky shops, funfair hair raisers, and nautical heritage. It may be a cliché, but this understated city really does have something for everyone, from the boxy motors at the Volvo Museum to Viking ships at the Stadmuseet, from Scandinavian fashion at the Norrstan Mall to picnicking on the grass of the Slottskogsparken. Families too have plenty to enjoy, including the Universum, often declared Sweden's top kids attraction. Universum, the terrifying rides of the Liseberg Park, and a continuous supply of ice cream to savour on beaches up and down the coast. This is also a place that likes to get active. The city hosts the world's largest half marathon, and there are endless possibilities for sea kayaking out to uninhabited islands. Just the thing after all those XXL Gothenburg cinnamon buns. Oh, I do love a kanelbullar. Or two. Liseberg's rides aside, kids love Universum, where visitors explore a humid rainforest, complete with trickling water, tropical birds and monkeys leaping through the greenery. Get hands-on at the science exhibitions where themes range from nanotechnology and space travel to mixing music. Some parts of the Velds Kulturmuseet were designed by children. At the Stadsmuseum, young visitors can ride a typical blue and white tram, climb the city towers and peruse the Viking exhibition, including the remains of the Askeskeppet. It's quite difficult for me to read. Askeskeppet, Sweden's only original Viking vessel. And Malmö, the southernmost city right across the water from Copenhagen. The past 2 decades have been an exciting time for Sweden's fastest growing metropolis. The establishment of Malmö University and the construction of the Öresundsbron road and rail bridge to Copenhagen across the water have reinvigorated the city after struggling to adapt to post-industrialization when its shipyards closed in the 1980s. Malmö is now the home to thriving biotech, IT and design sectors. Many other businesses, IKEA among them, are moving their headquarters here. Lured by the city's mild weather, youthful and diverse population, focus on innovation and proximity to Denmark. All this makes Malmö a great place to visit. Respect for the city's rich architectural heritage goes hand in hand with socially progressive and sustainable urban planning, making exploration of the city centre and surrounding neighbourhoods highly rewarding. So too is immersion in the local cultural and food scenes, among the most impressive in Sweden, which reflect the fact that the local population is drawn from 179 nationalities. I was thinking of moving there once, and they do give out visas to complete the set. So basically they were looking for some people from some countries that they didn't have anyone from around the world living there from. So like, I can't think, East Timor, for example, or Zimbabwe. And so they were like, if you're from one of these 5 countries, we don't have anyone from your nationality yet. We want a complete set of everyone from every country in the world. Let us know and we'll help you get a visa to come here. They clearly had someone from Wales. Right then. I think that is it for today. It's quite a long video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I've done more from this book as a Patreon only video a couple of months ago. So if you want to join Patreon and you were thinking about it and you love this video and you'd like more, there's already one more over on Patreon, and that video is never going to be released on this channel, so come and join me there. If you enjoyed the video as well, click like, leave a comment, and subscribe of course if you're new to this channel for more videos like this. What's going to be my next? Is it going to be the Netherlands, Italy or Poland for my tour guide series? We've done Scandinavia today. I hope you enjoyed it, and do watch another video. I'll put another one here in a second for you, so click on that next. Thanks everyone so much for watching. Take care. Bye 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 bye.